time for some recommendations. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got for you books that are not as talked about as they should be. That's the short of it. It's pretty much these are a list of books that do not get talked about as much, and I believe that they really should be because they are really good books, and I personally think that I've got a good mixture between thriller, horror. I think I might have some mystery. But they're all really good books. We'll have them linked down below if you're intrigued with any of them. I will try and keep it on the down low in terms of like how the book kind of goes down. I don't want to spoil anything because duh. But yeah, don't forget to check out the links down below. We are still selling books. We got the store shop open. We have the cemetery dances are still available, so check those out if you want those. We also have got the podcast still going on. We just had an episode with Gabby Reads. If you have not checked that out, please check it out. We'll have a link down below. We're working on getting a couple more people out there with podcast episodes, so stay tuned for all those because those are really fun. And yeah, without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the books. Alright, the first one up is If You See Her by Anya Alborn. I know Anya Alborn is an author that people talk about. Obviously, Brother is a phenomenal book. The Shuddering is another one that is a very good book. The one I'm going to talk about, obviously, is If You See Her. This was released in 2019. I thought this book was very well written. It was so good. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5. It might have been 4.5. I don't remember exactly. Check out Goodreads as always. But it was written, so it starts out with there's these 3 kids. They go to this house that's like haunted by like a witch or something like that. One of the friends commits suicide. Like, this happens early on in the book, so I'm not spoiling that part. And then the 2 friends grow older together, or like they kind of get separated. They grow up. And one of them comes back into town, and all hell breaks loose. It's honestly one of my like biggest surprise books that I read, I believe, last year, and it's just a good book. I highly recommend it, and I don't believe you'll be disappointed. If you like Brother and The Shuddering, you'll like this one. So there you have If You See Her by Anya Alborn. Alright, next up is The Wife Stalker by Liv Constantine. So this is the only book I've read from this duo author kind of thing. And I gotta say, this book, it was one of the ones on this list that were recommended by Danielle. It's got major twists, like major amounts. So I have to keep this pretty vague. You're following 2 perspectives. Piper, who meets this guy named Leo. They become like a love interest. And Joanna, who is the mother of Leo's kids. So all really I can say about it. There's just so many twists. There's just a lot happening with this book, and I can't say a whole lot about it. So just know, take it from me and Danielle, that there are tons of twists, and it's well worth it to read this book. Like, trust us. It's also pretty thin. It's not like a majorly long book. I'm pretty sure I gave this 4.5, 5 stars or something like that. It's a very good book. And I absolutely loved it. So there you have The Wife Stalker by Liv Constantine. Alright, next up is The New Husband by DJ Palmer. This is the other one that was recommended by Danielle. And I believe she actually like finished it and then she like buddy read it with me because I played it out loud next to her. And this book is weird. So this book follows a family where the husband has gone missing and has been missing for about 2 years. In comes, I believe it's a neighbor. I think it's a neighbor. Or it's a family friend. I don't remember. But anyway, this other guy shows up, kind of starts hanging around the family, dates the mom, they get married, and something seems a little off with the guy. And the daughter is really trying to figure out what it is. She doesn't like him at all, but everyone else does. The mom does. I think there's a little brother, and he loves him. But something's not right with the guy, and again, same thing with The Wife Stalker. Lots of twists. The twist towards the end is phenomenal and absolutely amazing, and it worked for me. I think I only ended up giving it 4 stars or 4.5 stars, but it still was a really good book. And again, a book nobody really talks about. So yeah, I really enjoyed this story, so I don't believe you'll be disappointed, but Yeah, there you have The New Husband by DJ Palmer. All right, next up is a book that I have talked about a couple of times on my channel. I actually think I might have done this on like the same type of video. And honestly, this author to me doesn't get talked about almost at all. I've only read the one book. I have a couple that I still need to read. But The Sleep Experiment by Jeremy Bates. This book was absolutely magnificent. It threw me for a loop. I didn't know anything about this author. And I read this, and I was in awe. It was so good. So pretty much what happens is in 1954, they started doing what they called sleep experiments on people, where they they made them stay up for absurd amount of times, and just to see what would happen to them. I think there's like a gas that they put in their system to where they couldn't fall asleep, and the results were catastrophic. Fast forward to 2018, and this doctor at a university is trying to do the same thing. And it's, I mean, you can imagine, same scenario would happen. It's very graphic. I will tell you that. It is very graphic towards the end. But it is such a good book. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. The closure you kind of get towards the end, too, I think is kind of fun with the doctor. If you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But The Sleep Experiment, this book threw me for a loop when I read it. I think I read it 2 years ago, 2020 or maybe it's 2019. I don't remember. When I read it, it was a very good book, and it probably still is. So, but yeah, I would definitely check this out. The Sleep Experiment, Jeremy Bates. All right, next up is Here and Gone by Halen Beck. So this book, this was a good one. This one, you're following a woman. She gets pulled over by a police officer with her 2 kids in the car. And they take the kids away. And then the entire time, they're basically saying, you didn't have kids in your car. We don't know what you're talking about. And the husband, I think she's going through a divorce. I believe she's running away from her husband. Or, like, ex-husband. I don't remember it off the top of my head. But I believe there is an ex-husband. He's, like, blaming her for everything. And the police are all playing it off like there's no kids, and like it's very sketchy. It's a very good book. It's a very like thriller, and I stand by my choice in having it as a 5-star and saying that it is a very solid book. I would definitely recommend reading this one. It's just so good. It's a good book. Read Here and Gone by Halen Beck. Alright, so I was contemplating which Stephen King book to put in this list. I had 2 other options. Dreamcatcher, but that is a book that people talk about, and it gets bashed thoroughly. And I actually did not hate the Tommyknockers, which a lot of people said I was going to, and I really didn't mind it. I thought it was a pretty decent book, but definitely not good enough to make this list. The book, I also thought about The Green Mile, but no. This book, Christine. This book, nobody really talks about this book, like, at all. And it honestly surprises me, because this book is so good. It's in my top 10, and I don't see this book ever leaving my top 10. Although I said that when it was in my top 5, and then the Dead Zone happened. But I don't see this leaving my top 10, like, ever. It's such a solid book. It's about this kid in high school named Arnie. And what happens is he gets this car. It's a 58 Plymouth Fury. And it's, like, basically possessed. It, like, controls his life. He, like, gets a girlfriend and then bashes her, doesn't like her. Not, like, actually hits her, but, like, doesn't like her. He prefers the car. His good friend Dennis, who's been a really good friend throughout all of grade school and everything, which the book depicts the friendship a heck of a lot better than the movie did. But, I mean, he's picking the car over everybody. It's just such a good book. And it's told in, like, it goes from, like, first to third to first perspective, which a lot of people said they didn't like about the book, but I thought it worked. But this book was so good, and I really recommend it. It's also, the Plymouth Fury is just a sexy car, so it's another reason why it's here. But I would definitely read Christine by Stephen King. Alright, so those were some books that I believe need to be talked about more. There are books that are good that no one discusses, I feel like, and they definitely need to be. Let me know in the comments if you have any books that you think need to be talked about more often, or books you think that shouldn't be talked about as often, like overhyped books. Maybe that'll be a video idea we do. But, yeah, make sure you let me know in the comments, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Later.